Satarvaj, Acharya's daughter, the Satya's Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. BBT founder, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Pramsagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ji Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Abrihamadanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Janitai Gauda Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhule Shrimati Radhana Swami Te Namane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhule Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Te Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gunamani Pachayani Visheshashani Mani Bhascha Chari Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. Nice to see everyone here this morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. It is my great honor and privilege and pleasure to be here with all of you in this holiest of holy dhams, Sri Radha Govinda Dev Temple. Very grateful to the devotees here for keeping things going and staying inspired and enlivened in service of their lordships and serving Srila Prabhupada and making a real difference in New York, which is a very tough city, in case you hadn't noticed. So, very grateful to be here, and thank you. Before I begin, I would first like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas that you see fit to bestow your mercy upon me so that I can speak something relevant and bona fide from this most exalted scripture, the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, which is the PhD of spiritual knowledge and philosophy. Only by the mercy of Vaishnavas is anything possible, so I am seeking your blessings. Hare Krishna. So, we have a few verses to read today from the Caitanya-caritāmṛta. I see they're not on the board. That's usually someone puts them up on the TV or something. Is that right? Usually. I mean, it's okay if you do it without. That's also okay.
We'll try to get it up there eventually.
Okay, no problem. So before we begin, we'll chant the invocation for Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So reading from Ādi-līlā, second chapter, and starting with text 47, and we will go up to text 42, which has a purport, and we can repeat text 52 responsively. But we'll start, I'll read the verses and translations. Krishna kahena brahma tomara nabu jiva chan jiva riri jale vaishe se narayan. Krishna said, Brahma, I cannot understand what you are saying. Lord Narayan is he who sits in the hearts of all living beings and lies down in the waters of the Karana ocean. Text 48. Brahma kahe jale jive ye Narayan se saba tomara amsha e satyavachan. Brahma replied, what I have said is true. The same Lord Narayan who lives on the waters and in the hearts of all living beings is but a plenary portion of you. Text 49. Karanabdi garbhodaka shiradaka sai maya dware shrishti kare tate shabamai. The Karnadakshai, Garbhodakshai, and Shiradakshai forms of Narayan all create in cooperation with the material energy. In this way, they are attached to Maya. Text 50. Setina jale shai sarva antaryami Brahmanda Vrindera Atma Ye Purusha Nami. These three Vishnus lying in the water are the supersoul of everything. The supersoul of all the universes is known as the first Purusha. And today's verse text, we'll do 51 and then 52 is today's verse. Text 51. Hiranya garbera atma garbhodaka shai vyasti jiva antaryami shiradaka shai. Garbhodakshai Vishnu is the supersoul of the aggregate of living entities, and Shiradakshai Vishnu is the supersoul of each individual living being. And text 52, everyone can see. So we can repeat this. E Shabara Darshanete Ache Maya Gand. Turiya Krishnera Nahi Mayara Samband. E Shabara Darshanete Ache Maya Gand. Turiya Krishnera Nahi Mayara Samband. Someone else would like to repeat, please. Ladies, please. So I think last time I was here, it's happened also. Some devotees ask why I don't chant the last A, because I was told in Bengal that when you chant Bengali, unless the last A is a long A, you don't chant it. And I think when I was here last time, there was a devotee from Bengal, and he also confirmed. That's right, Prabhuji. So, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way, but just so it's clear why I didn't do it, because I was told that that's the way that when you chant Bengali, unless it's a long A at the end, then you don't chant it. But whether that's an absolute truth or not, I don't know. But please forgive me if I transgressed any etiquette in that way. So we'll do the word for word. This Sabara of the assembly, Darshanete, in seeing, Ache, there is, Maya Ganda, connection with Maya, Turiya, the fourth, Krishnera, of Lord Krishna, Nahi, there is not, Mayara, of the material energy, Sambandha, connection. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Superficially, we see that these Purushas have a relationship with Maya. But above them, in the fourth dimension, is Lord Krishna, who has no contact with the material energy. Purport. The three Purushas, Karnadakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, all have a relationship with the material energy called Maya, because through Maya they create the material cosmos. These three Purushas, who lie on the Karna, Garbha, and Kshira oceans respectively, are the supersoul of everything that be. Karnadakshaya Vishnu is the supersoul of the collective universes. Jai Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki, Jai Shri Gaur Nitai Ki, Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Karnadakshaya Vishnu is the supersoul of the collective universes. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the supersoul of the collective living beings. And Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the supersoul of all individual living entities, because all of them are somehow attracted to the affairs of the material energy. They can be said to have some affection for Maya. But the transcendental position of Sri Krishna himself is not even slightly tinged by Maya. His transcendental state is called Turiya, or the fourth dimensional stage. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Gena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivazadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So last verse again. Esha Bhara Darshanete Ache Mayagan Turiya Krishnera Nahi Maya Rasamban. Superficially, we see that these Purushas have a relationship with Maya. But above them in the fourth dimensions is Lord Krishna, who has no contact with the material energy. So, continuing here this conversation, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami elucidating and with a desire to prove that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna. He is God himself. And in doing so, he's citing this conversation between Krishna and Lord Brahma and bringing up some very valuable and important points here. Anything stood out to anyone just before we get into it? Anything stood out to anyone from what we just read? Anyone thought, wow, that's strange. What's that? Yes, Prabhu.
Well, that last paragraph was really surprising.
Okay.
That basically Prabhupada was saying that Mahavishnu's in Maya.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you were paying attention. Yeah, so when I first read this, also it was sort of like, okay, so all the Purusha avatars, he said they have an affection or attachment to Maya. They can be said to have some affection for Maya because somehow they're attracted to the affairs of the material energy. Anyone here is attracted to the affairs of the material energy? I'm sure no one will raise their hand. Yeah, oh, okay, just a few. All right. So I'm not alone. That's good. So yeah, somehow we become attracted to the affairs of the material world. And here we are, right, in the material world. So the understanding generally is that especially the Vishnu, the Purusha avatars, generally are transcendental to the material energy. Whereas we know that Lord Brahma, he is Jiva Tattva, and he is the engineer of the material world. He takes the material components and puts them all together to create the millions and millions of diverse living entities, as well as so many different aspects, the variegatedness of the material world. But because he's Jiva Tattva, then it's understood that he can also be influenced by the material energy. Even though before he began his service of creating or manifesting, engineering the material world, he prayed intensely to the Lord. Anyone remembers what he prayed? He made a request. The second canto, after having darshan of the Lord. Yeah, it wasn't the Chatur Shloki, but yeah. Yes, that was also there. He requested specifically for himself that you're asking me to engage in this important service. I mean, imagine being given the service of engineering the entire universe. I mean, sometimes just putting our shoes on is difficult enough, to speak of engineering the entire universe. And Lord Brahma has been given this, empowered to be the engineer of the entire universe. And with folded palms, he basically says to the Lord, you've asked me to do this, but I beg you, please don't let me become proud. Please don't let me become proud. Now, if we know there's an English saying that pride cometh before a fall. And generally we understand, Deyato Vishyapam Samsangasteshu Pajayate, that this fall comes first by contemplation and attachment, and we develop lust, and then we fall bloop into the material pool. So if we become proud, then generally it will be very easy because as one devotee shared with me once, what really do we have to be proud of? But a pauper is proud of his penny, and it's so easy to become proud of anything. I swept the floor very nicely, I cleaned this pot so nicely, I put on my tilak so nicely, I shaved my hair nicely, I learned how to do this. Anything we do, somehow, anyone has that experience? Of course not, because you're all pure devotees, but for me it's like pride just blossoms so easily. It doesn't take much for us to become proud. Thus the saying, a pauper is proud of his penny. Even if you have nothing but one penny, you think, oh, just see what I've got, you become so. So Lord Brahma is praying, please don't let me become proud. Please don't let me fall into illusion. Let me not be, humility, as Srila Prabhupada explains, real humility means that we understand our actual position. And what is our actual position? We're lords of all that we purvey, correct? Das. No, I don't want to be a servant. I want to be the king, the master. Yes, but our position is Jivara Swarupoi Krishnera Nitya Das. Nitya means eternal. Oh man, it's like Das, okay, maybe for the weekend, maybe on Friday mornings, maybe, but eternally I am Das. And what does Das mean? It means servant. It's a heavy description of who I am, right? It's not easy pill to swallow, actually, that I am the servant. And I was just reading about Dharma, and Prabhupada in one statement. Which book are we reading at the moment? Oh, Teachings of Lord Kapila Dev. And Prabhupada is discussing this idea of Dharma. And of course he says, everyone, ultimately, there's only one Dharma. And what is that? Yes. He quoted a different verse. Nope. Nope. Nope, but this is good. I'm loving all the verses. It's like the personified Veda is sitting back here. And I don't know, I didn't hear all of them, but he quoted Sarva Dharmam Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishami Ma Shuchaha. He says Sarva Dharman, Of course, in that verse, Dharma refers to all kind of other religions. Give up all these other religions. But Krishna says, give up all dharmas, all other dharmas. There's only one dharma. And what is that? To surrender to me. And Krishna promises that I will protect you. So in this way, we can understand there's only one dharma. That is humility, understanding my eternal position, which is that of a servant. So, a servant doesn't really, he's just a servant. What is there to be proud of? Of course, Prabhupada did say we can be proud to be anyone remembers? Servant of? Parampara, yeah, he said we can be proud that we're the servant of our spiritual master. We can be proud, which is basically the same thing. So we can understand that Lord Brahma can be influenced by the material energy. Lord Shiva, influenced by the material energy? Seems like, but could be debatable. He has his own tattva, so he kind of does whatever he likes. But in general, Prabhupada would explain that he's in association. What kind of personalities does he associate with usually? Ghouls, goblins, hobgoblins, lower living entities. Of course, his role with all of them is to what? Lift them and help to elevate them and give them some hope of connectivity to Krishna, ultimately. But we always understood that the Vishnu forms are transcendental. So it is quite, shall we say, controversial here that Prabhupada is saying that Karna-dakshaya Vishnu, Garbha-dakshaya Vishnu, and Kshira-dakshaya Vishnu, not just one of them, all three of them are in Maya. Wow. What hope is there for us, right? If these personalities. Now, of course, the verse says an important word, and in the Sanskrit, it's not there. It's not there in the Sanskrit. But there's a word that's used in the translation. The first word of this verse is superficially. Superficially. What does superficially mean? Anyone knows?
Apparently, as to the outward appearance only, on the surface, not thoroughly, not deeply.
Yeah. God, you are a brain box. Amazing. Okay, yes, Google is God. Yeah, it means outwardly appearing, apparently. But if something is apparent, that doesn't always mean that that's actually the way that it is. Which is interesting because that is what Maya is. Maya is that which is not. Whew, mind-blowing. That which is not. It means that which appears real, but actually is not. It is not real. So superficially means apparently. It may be perceived like this. But somehow Srila Prabhupada continues in the purport to make it sound very much like they are attracted to, he uses both the words attracted to and attached to Maya. Because they have to interact with and use Maya. At the same time, these verses and Srila Prabhupada explain that these three Purusha avatars, they are also the super souls of everything. Starting with Karna-dakshaya Vishnu, it explains that he's the super soul of what? What is Karna-dakshaya Vishnu the super soul of?
All the collective universes?
No, not the individual. All the collective universes. Remember Karna-dakshaya Vishnu, every universe is coming out of his pores. So this is also, when I was here last time, we discussed this principle of the super soul, because it was explained in the verse then that also it was saying the Garbha-dakshaya Vishnu was the super soul of everything. And we discussed that. So here, Srila Prabhupada is expanding, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami are expanding our understanding of super soul. Because often, or at least my understanding is, super soul means the Param Atma, the great Atma that is situated within the heart, beside me, the little Atma, and who is perpetually going, please listen to me. Why won't you listen, right? That's the super soul. Krishna, he's seated in our heart. And he is specifically an expansion of which Purusha avatar? Kshira-dakshaya Vishnu. But here we see that actually these Purushas are all super souls in their own right. They're all supreme Atmas. Karna-dakshaya Vishnu for all of the universes, and then Garbha-dakshaya Vishnu for Huh? The living entities?
Individual universe.
Individual universe sounds right, but here Prabhupada explains for the collective living beings. Anyone would like to explain what that means, the collective living beings?
Like when the universes get created by Caitanya-caritāmṛta Vishnu, then he expands as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and lies down, and then out of his navel comes Lord Brahma, who then produces everything.
Yes?
So that's Garbhodakshaya Vishnu coming from his Garbha, everything.
Yes.
That's how we can see all the collective living beings in each universe have their own Garbhodakshaya Vishnu.
Okay, very nice. Yes, Prabhu.
He's essentially the Purusha who's bringing the living entities into the universes.
Mm-hmm.
You can see in the beginning of third canto that when he lies down in the ocean, all of the souls are immersed in his body while he's sleeping. And
Yes.
all of the souls are also in Yoga Nidra.
Very nice.
His body manifests as apparently separate.
Okay, very nice. So this idea is that all of the living entities, all the souls are merged into his body, and then ultimately he has a collective responsibility for all living entities. Because Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is explained to be the super soul for the individual living entities. So one could say that there could be some conflict between Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Yes, maybe sometimes we hear 2 voices or 3 voices. Maybe we hear 5 or 10. Maybe we need to get checked out if that's happening. But in general, the idea is that Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the super soul within our heart, or within the heart of all living entities. And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is kind of the super soul that all the Kshirodakshaya Vishnus report into. And in that way, then also they report back to Karnadakshaya Vishnu. But the point that I really wanted to stress on here, and we have a little bit more time, is a specific word that was mentioned here that drew my attention. Any word that stood out for anyone here? Prabhupada pointed it out in the last sentence. Yes. Turiya. Anyone's heard that word Turiya before? Oh, because you were on the transcendental platform. What does Turiya mean? Transcendental platform. Yes. Actually, Turiya, here Srila Prabhupada refers to Turiya is short from Chaturya. Chaturya. Chatur means 4. Chaturya. So here it's described that Krishna is on the Turiya platform. He's on the 4th platform, above these other 3 who are existing on different levels. Generally, when this word Turiya is used, and it's used in different ways, and it's used quite a lot when going through the Bhagavatam and Prabhupada's books. Really, it often comes up just being used as 4 or 4th or 1/4 in that way. But in some places, Srila Prabhupada refers to it as the transcendental plane above the modes of material nature. Sometimes it can be understood that it's the Uttama platform. Uttama, Tama means Tamagun, and Uttama means above Tamas, but it doesn't mean Rajas or goodness. It means above all the gunas. So that transcendental platform. Prabhupada also, it's explained, generally it's above the waking, dreaming, and unconscious states. The waking, dreaming, and unconscious states, which is quite interesting. And other ideas of explaining Turiya is that there is a space in which our waking state, or our dreaming state where we're still conscious and alert, but we're maybe manifesting or experiencing another form of the material energy, another level of the material energy, some more subtle level. And then unconscious, which means we're not actually conscious, but we're still alive. So these three states. But there's a fourth state that is available, and this fourth state is turiya. This is the level of the spiritual platform. It means we go beyond these other three levels of dreaming, unconscious, or being completely conscious. So I think in like scientific terms, there's also different wave frequencies, right? You have, I think beta is waking consciousness, and then alpha is more like a dreaming consciousness, and then theta is considered like deeper, the deepest consciousness. So sometimes people utilize this to enter into deeper levels of consciousness. But for us, we understand that this turiya means to enter into the transcendental platform. And I don't want to ruin it for whoever's giving class next. You have CC class just on Saturdays and Sundays? Just Saturday, okay. Which explains why it hasn't moved much since the last time I was here. So whoever is going to give in the next couple of Saturdays, it discusses also that the devotees are on the same turiya platform as the Lord, which is an interesting point. And we were discussing this the other morning. One devotee was giving class, I think it was Krishnadaya Prabhu at the Bhakti Center. And in the purport, it also mentioned that devotees are transcendental. So I'm just curious, who here would consider themselves first a devotee? Anyone? This is always a trick question. It's amazing. Yeah, exactly. In the assembly of devotees, humility is just so astonishing. Like, devotees wouldn't raise their hand to. So no one here is a devotee? Okay, yes. Except one devotee. Say it again? I want to be a devotee. You want to be a devotee, okay. So we're aspiring devotees, yes. Yeah, okay. Who here feels that they're on the transcendental platform? Okay. One, yes? At least someone is honest. Prabhu, did you point to him or raise your hand? Okay, he's definitely on the transcendental platform right now. So, yeah, the transcendental platform is something that, sometimes we can think just by being a devotee, maybe wearing the clothes, or just by chanting that we're on the transcendental platform. And maybe to some extent we are, actually. Maybe to some extent, greater or lesser extent, we may be. In fact, it is the absolute truth that by taking to the process of devotional service, you certainly begin to transcend the modes of material nature. Anyone here has that experience sometimes where you reflect back upon the maybe before you came to devotional life? Anyone here remembers really being thrown around by the modes of material nature? Yeah, not only me. I mean, some people, myself included, really, really thrown around by the modes of material nature. Yeah, beaten or lifted even. Yeah, it's like coming to New York. I've shared with a few devotees. I'm really surprised this time being here, because marijuana is more or less legalized, and wherever you go, all you smell is marijuana. And like all these shops are openly selling marijuana. Of course, I lived in the US 30 years ago when it was highly illegal, and there are probably people still in jail for selling marijuana now while they're legally selling it outside. And I'm just thinking, wow, everyone is just, subjecting themselves to these modes. And I remember being in that space many moons ago, where people will be so influenced by the material energy and the modes of material nature. We just drug ourselves to dull ourselves down, to be able to deal with matter, just to be able to cope with being in the material world. People have to kind of self-medicate, isn't it? Do you have that experience? People are just in the material world, but trying to escape as much as possible the material world. But really, they're only diving more deeply into the material energy. So this idea of turiya is to become transcendental. And what does this actually look like? It means unaffected. First thing I was thinking is there's a famous quote by Lord Jesus Christ. Anyone knows that quote? Exactly. To be in the world, but not of the world. To be in this world, but not of the world. And that's a nice statement, but we have to think, and my proposal here is that we really reflect ourselves and see, are we going deeper in our Krishna consciousness? And am I really genuinely, when I chant, when I associate with devotees, am I genuinely trying to function from the spiritual platform? What platform am I actually interacting from? Does that make sense? Like, it's okay to quote many shlokas and many verses, but am I acting like a soul? Am I treating others like a soul? Or am I functioning from the bodily platform and treating others as if they are their bodies? When I chant, am I really connecting with Krishna? Am I really fighting to enter in? Prabhupada explained in one place that the hardest thing we should do every day is chant our rounds. Now, I don't think that he meant it's the hardest thing just because you're fighting to stay awake, which is what often happens. It's just like, Hare Krishna. I'm sure none of you experienced that. That's never, ever, right? Or in class, right? Yeah, in Bhagavatam class, just trying to stay awake, we're hearing about Krishna. It's like, it's amazing because that transcendental platform should be so easy to grasp. I was hearing one devotee describing the spiritual platform means Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat means eternality. My true nature is that I am eternal, but how am I going to experience that eternality? Chit means fully knowledgeable. I have complete knowledge, right? Full knowledge. I mean, sometimes we may think we have full knowledge. We may think we know everything. They say people think they know everything. But where we can really experience that spiritual platform is on the platform of Ananda. Ananda Mayo Vyasat. The nature of the soul is that it is pleasure seeking. We're looking for that bliss. So are we actually tasting and experiencing bliss? Now, this brings up an important question. Because some might say that that's Maya. If you're feeling blissful, I have definitely heard this. Some devotees say, if you're feeling blissed out in your service, that's Maya. Because you're not meant to enjoy, Prabhu. You're not meant to be enjoying. But I think actually we are meant to be enjoying. It's impossible for us as souls to not want to, because we are Ananda Mayo Vyasat. The question is, how are we enjoying? And are we enjoying on this? I mean, can you imagine? I don't know, maybe this happens to some of you or all of you. My experience is that it doesn't, but as soon as you start chanting your rounds, you're like, woohoo, yeah, this is awesome. I love this, right? How often does that happen? Let's be honest. Every day? Fantastic. So that's amazing. Most people are like, yeah, gotta chant, gotta get them done, gotta do it. Sometimes it can be in that space. Anyone has that experience? Yeah, a few, yeah. In the beginning, it was very blissful for many people. They describe, especially when we first started chanting, it was like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Right? Anyone had that in the beginning? It was like, oh my God. And all of a sudden desires disappeared. The synchronicities started to happen. Right? Anyone had that? Synchronicities like, oh my God, I was just thinking about that. And now that, or I with this person. Oh, it's like we feel very present to that spiritual energy. We feel like we're being moved by this spiritual energy, and Krishna is really in our lives, and he's making things happen, and oh my God, this is so exciting. Anyone had that experience? Yeah. Sometimes as Krishna consciousness goes on, we don't always have that same experience. Yes? Anyone feels that? And we look back like, it used to be so nice. Now it's just like a chore or a task or a difficulty, right? But Turiya means beyond that, beyond moroseness. Brahmabhuta, Prashanatma. Prashanatma means?
Really happy.
Really happy. I'm really happy. Brahmabhuta Prashanatma. Na shochati. Nakangshati. There is no
Lamentation or
I don't lament. I'm not lamenting. And I'm not hankering. I'm just simply happy. I'm blissful. This is nectar at every moment. This is the test. This is the challenge. Are we getting the nectar? Are we connecting with the source? Are we making the endeavor, chanting. Anyone here is Brahmin initiated? Yeah, Brahmin initiated. You chant Gayatri 3 times a day, yes? Man, 3 times a day. I thought it was going to be easy when I first got Brahmin initiation. It's like 3 times, ding, 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 midnight. I sometimes think, and I think all glories to people who are from Islamic faith, who really sincerely, 5 times or 6? 5, 7? He said 7. Who knows? It's 5, isn't it? Yeah. 5 namaz, right? So 5 times a day, roll out the blanket, do the whole job. I mean, Lord have mercy. Can you imagine if, we're supposed to be Brahmins? Sometimes where we chant Gayatri, how we chant Gayatri. I've literally seen sometimes Gayatris, it seems like a drag race. Like a race. People are like, done. Prasadam time, I've seen. Right before prasadam. Prasadam is being served out. The verse is like, no. Like, how are you chanting Gayatri and dictating what's going to be on your plate? Chanting rounds also. Earlier today, I was talking to one devotee, he had his hand in his bead bag, and I asked him a question, and while he was listening to me, he was like, and then he stopped and started talking back. And then I said, oh yeah, well, I would do it anyway. And it's like, where is our attention? Because Turiya means we have to enter into a different dimension, a different platform. And over the years, I've become less convinced that this happens automatically. It happens by intention, by sankalpa. I make a dedication that now I am going to chant. The material energy can come and do as it likes, but I'm going to focus on you, Krishna. And Scripture explains that by making this intention before we start chanting, by praying to the Lord to help me become attentive, we automatically move to the second platform of chanting. We move to the Namabhas stage, which means we move to the clearing stage, simply by a sincere intention, by vocalizing to the Lord our intention. So as I'm reading this, that I'm just thinking that to enter this, to come to the platform where we are also on the transcendental platform and functioning from that platform, means that it's going to take some work. And we have to become even more serious. Oh, God, I was already serious. I have to become more serious. I mean, I've already given this up, given that up. I did this, I've done that. I mean, what more do you want? And what does Krishna say? I want everything. Someone told me years ago that we can make an offering to Krishna with this hand. And Krishna's like, thank you very much, that's so nice. But he leans forward and looks over our shoulder to see what we're holding back with the other hand. Or sometimes people say, okay, Krishna, one for you, one for me. 2 for you, 4 for me. 3 for you, 6, 10 for me. So sometimes it can be like that. So Krishna is perpetually trying to help us, because whatever we're holding on to, whatever is distracting us from being completely focused on Him, is an obstacle to us being with Him. And only when we're genuinely in that space, that dimension, that turiya, that fourth dimension with Him, are we on the transcendental platform. Speaking of transcendental, Hare Pran has just entered the room, maybe to remove me. So, anyway, those are just a few thoughts. Yes, the last idea of turiya is like the lotus. It starts in the murk, in the mud, but it comes up through the water and then it just sits on top of the water. It's not really in the water. It's kind of above the water, and it's not affected by the water. So this lotus is often used to describe this principle of transcendence, to be transcendental, like the lotus. The root is in the murk, in the mud, but actually the consciousness is turiya. It's otherworldly. It's on the fourth dimension. It's not here in the material world. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop there. I think we're right at 9 o'clock. But I don't know if anyone has, if there's time, if not, if there's time for a reflection or question. Yes, Prabhuji.
Just briefly give like some strategy, because I appreciate it in Harinam Chintamani, for example, Bhakti starts to divide the different ways of inattention and the different kinds of inattention.
Yes. Yes.
He's talking about the offenses, so he talks about inattentions. Inattentions are the mother of all the offenses.
Yes.
And it's also, when we conquer inattention, we can conquer everything.
When we what?
When we conquer inattention,
Yes.
we conquer all the offenses.
Yes.
So one of the types of inattention he mentions is called pramada. One of the inattentions that Bhakti Vinod Thakur is mentioning in Harinam Chintamani, or that Haridas Thakur is mentioning, is called pramada, which means the feeling that one has to get a certain number of rounds done, and just needs to get them done so we can go and do other things. And this subtle kind of feeling arises, and then you're unable to focus because you feel like you have to chant so many rounds, you have to do this, and then you have to do that. So it's like a sense of busyness. And, of course, living in New York, I remember just recently I had a day where I was sick. I had some days where I was sick. I just took the day completely off. I did nothing. And I just chanted. And it was an amazing experience because I realized how much, daily I actually don't connect at all because I'm too busy thinking about what I have to do in the day.
Yes.
The different services. So how can we overcome this kind of offense, especially because there's so much to do all the time and so little people to do it, and our day gets like crammed into like those segments, and we're trying to subdivide our time, how we're going to use it, and trying to run around, and then it actually becomes a distraction. You know,
Yes.
Should we do less things, or what should we do?
Very nice. Nice question. Did everyone hear the question? Anyone has experience of that? So many things to do in a day, and yeah, how can I just chant my rounds, 16 rounds? I mean, it's a big ask, let's be honest. Asking people to chant 16 rounds a day takes let's say approximately 2 hours a day. It's a big ask. But your question is how to avoid the consciousness while we're chanting that I have so many other things to do. Well, that definitely takes just honing in, Krishna, I'm just going to chant your rounds. If something interrupts, right, that's one thing, but just literally, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to chant, and we totally focus on the chanting at that time, at least for whatever time that we have. Now, an interesting point is that when we're chanting is a prayer for service. So we have to be very careful that we don't think that the result of our chanting is an impediment to our chanting. Because being engaged in service is also a gift. But the point is not that whatever is that consciousness that we have when we're chanting, if we're chanting attentively, should also be the same consciousness we have when we're doing our service. And I heard one senior devotee once, he was describing the different consciousness. Like, I have to clean Krishna's floor. Now I'm cleaning the temple room. I'm cleaning the floor for Krishna. Okay, I'm cleaning the floor. That's one consciousness, which means I don't really want to be doing this, but I'm doing it because I have to, or I should, or something. But the other consciousness is, wow, I get to clean Krishna's floor. Now I'm cleaning Krishna's floor, and I'm very present to the fact that I'm here now cleaning Krishna's floor. It's a complete universe of difference, right? Or washing the pots. Even today, taking prasadam. We were just reading about Prabhupada when he would generally take prasadam on his own. And even his servants described that sometimes he would take prasadam facing into a corner of the room, just honoring prasad. Often we take prasad, or we eat prasadam. But honoring prasad, like when you take prasad, like really thinking, this is Krishna. This has been offered to Krishna. This is, covered with the saliva of the Lord, and meditating on taking prasad. Washing your plate afterwards. Brushing your teeth. Every single thing can be service. It depends on our consciousness. My dear Lord, I am brushing my teeth right now, and I'm trying to keep them clean because I want you to dance in my mouth later when I chant your holy names. Why not? We may think it's silly. But what are you thinking about when you're brushing your teeth? Right? Most of us brushing the teeth when we first get up, we're just like in tamagun, like just scrape your tongue. Krishna, I'm scraping my tongue to clean off the nasty stuff from the evening so that when I chant your, right? It's all about consciousness. But that's a fight. To be in the right consciousness means we're going to have to push ourselves and fight. And we have to bring it to our... I know devotees who have verses on the mirror of the bathroom. Probably here you also have some brahmacharis, they're like scraping their tongue, trying to remember verses. Whatever we can do to be in the right state of mind. So when we're doing any service, we should also be in that state of mind. When we're chanting, we also have to be in that state of mind. Now's the time when I'm going to chant, and there is nothing more important right now in my life, Krishna, than paying attention to you, because you're God and I'm your eternal servant, and I'm here now to chant your names. Please help me. Anyway, just a thought. Hare Krishna. So we should probably stop now, or else I'll get in trouble. Okay?
You just spoke about before you start to chant, you change your consciousness towards that ability to concentrate on Krishna and Krishna only. In your opinion, how much time you say you would 5-10 minutes to sink your mind into that before you start chanting?
That's wonderful. Lovely. I mean, it's real interesting because, as Prabhuji here was saying, it used to be that as soon as, we said the pranams, vanchakalpatarubhyascha, it was how quick can I get my hand in the bead bag, and maybe I can, before everybody else starts chanting, I can at least get a few mantras in. Because, I got to chant all my rounds. Quick, I got to get it done. Because it's that kind of mentality. But now it's more like, how can I chant in the proper mood and in the proper consciousness? So I would say, in general, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, just to be still and try to focus my mind. There are different ways that this can be done. Different senior devotees can focus. But just to really try to position myself consciously in my mind's eye, somewhere in the holy Dham. Like everyone has a particular place they like to be in the holy Dham. One of my favorite places is on the bank of Govardhan, sitting under that tree next to Govinda Kund. Anyone knows where Govinda Kund is? And then you have that big tree there, the senior devotees often, and then right behind you is Giriraj. I mean, you're actually on Govardhan Hill, but you feel Giri, and you can just sit there in your mind's eye and say, Krishna, here I am in your holy Dham, and I just want to chant your holy name. And you just take some deep breaths. It can be like 30 seconds. Oh, Krishna, please, please, just help me to chant your holy name today with attention. And then start chanting. Yeah? Hare Krishna. It's just like offering, food, offering bhoga. It can be as elaborate as the deity worship, or it can just be like, Krishna, here I am in a place where I can't do any offering, and in my mind I'm just offering everything to you. Please, please, Krishna, accept this offering. Because it's about the consciousness. You can be on the altar ringing the bell thinking, oh, I want to eat those pakoras. It's not about physical proximity. What is it Prabhupada said? That a fly can be sat on the lap of a king, but it doesn't mean he's the closest person to the king. The spiritual master is saying the point he's giving. It's what is our consciousness? So, like that. And I think I definitely better finish now, or else I won't be asked to come back. And so, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hari Hari Bol. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda's ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.